our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Coach's Talk, and we have a special edition here presented by the Shore Football Report. Today's special guest was part of a historical girls football season. Yep, and I'm very, very proud to have the head football coach that had the luxury of coaching the first season for the Pinelands Wildcat girls flag football team that was part of the Short Conference Girls Flag Football League sponsored by the New York Giants and Nike. And his name is Coach John Tierney. Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
Coach Davis, thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And, you're doing so much for the Short Football League Conference. And, when you reached out to me, it was such a pleasure to jump on here with you. I'm excited. And, anything to talk, girls flag football or just football in general, I'm happy to do it.
Coach, from the time when you started this, you guys started this whole league, and we're going to get in depth with it. And then I started doing this. I started getting pressure from the girls, athletes all over the place, and mainly my own girls in my own house, because we actually went to one of your games, and I'll tell you right now, we'll talk more about it, but the atmosphere was incredible. But seeing my girls watch the game, and they come home and they wanted to play catch with daddy on the front lawn, football. And, that was just awesome. And those girls and all the girls and all the football teams were role models to a lot of people, and they started this season. Did you have fun?
I had probably the most fun I've ever had coaching, to be honest with you. And it was at first it was a little bit tough. It was hard because you want to talk about groundwork. It's groundwork. You're trying to get maybe 8 or 10 years of coaching in 3 or 4 weeks, and you're not really sure where to start, and you're not really sure what anybody else is doing. I mean, this is the first season, and you're going up against some great coaches. Steve Bush, Kaz, Steve Antonucci, and the other coaches, and you don't know what they're doing and what they're teaching. And it was a whirlwind for the first 4 weeks until we got to the first game. And, my first game, I'm going up against Kaz, who's a legend. And, he beat my butt, but I thought it was a great learning lesson for myself, because I was like, all right, this is what we have to do. And this is where I have to get my girls to. And, man, my girls responded real quick.
Coach, to me, coaching's coaching no matter what level you are. You have to adjust to certain – you coaching girls football, which was the first time ever that ever happened in this area. To me, watching it, it was still football. You were still coaching up. You and the coaches were yelling things out that we knew as football coaches during the fall season would be saying the same thing to our athletes right there. So I loved how you guys didn't dummy down anything. You led them the same way as you would be coaching boys sports, right?
Oh, 100%. Coach Tobin, who pretty much took over our defense, he put in cover 2, he put in cover 3, some man stuff. And I think it was about the 3rd or 4th week, our girls were in cover 2, and they were coming up, and they were releasing the girls to the second level, coming up, playing the flat, and they were hammering the flat. We played Coach Antonucci in week 3, and, we're preparing for option. And we had 2
Was he really running option?
Well, he was running option. And
I love it.
We'll talk about the rules in a little bit, but
yes.
The difference when the quarterback has the ball and when a runner has the ball, and now you have to worry about quarterback and pitch, and trying to explain that to our girls, and the fact that within the hour of the second practice, they had that down. Now, also understand that this was technically like the club sport, so they were all going to another practice first, and then coming to our practice.
Wow, that's great.
And understanding how to defend the option, coached by Steve Antonucci, and we had it down. Was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is really, really great stuff, Coach. And there's a lot of people that are so curious about what you guys did. And Coach, I'm going to take you back 18 years ago, and I'm going to put this as something comparison to what I did. When I came to Barnegat, I started a middle school football program, and again, it was a novelty, never been done before. The local schools basically said, "Nah, we're not interested," because they weren't. So I had to take something with my district, and we developed a middle school football plan, and we did it. And after the first year, all the local schools, Pinelands, Southern, piggybacked and said, we're in too. So if you could think when you're starting this, people are looking at you from the outside in going, nah, but they're real curious on how you guys do it, because maybe we would do it. And now that you just had a very successful season in terms of it worked out, everybody was all in, you're probably going to get more people that want to join now.
I think we definitely are. We've had a lot of interest. I'm not going to name any teams or schools, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But we've had 10 to 14 additional teams reach out, which would put us at the number of 24 to 26 teams. We were the only Ocean County team this year, so that meant a lot of traveling for us. Next year, I expect probably some type of Ocean County division, which would be phenomenal. I think a couple things that led to this. I think number one, they saw that, as you said, it was real football. It wasn't just out there. And not taking anything away, a lot of people play, practice powder puff for 1 or 2 weeks, and it's that game and it's that fun thing. It wasn't that. I think number one, the schools took it very seriously that were in it. Number two, the coaches took it very seriously who were in it. The girls took it very seriously, which got us a great product on the field. The other part of it that they took it very seriously were the officials. The officials knew the rules. They understood the rules. They kept the game. They kept the game going. They kept the good flow of the game. I think the media that we got was great, and I think we did a very good job of promoting ourselves.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I was there, and you were trying to ride those officials, and they were close to throwing that 15-yard penalty on you. But that's great, Coach. It was the bottom line. I'll summarize it. The atmosphere was tremendous, and if you have an atmosphere like that, and I don't care who the athletes are, if they're all in like that, you have to support them. You have to support them. And that was just great. The only thing you were missing was maybe more, media covering it, which is going to follow the next year with that too. So we have so much to talk about today, Coach, and we're going to do it in different parts of our interview. But first, I want people to know a little bit about you. And I did a couple research on you about your resume. I want to talk about it a little bit, if you don't mind. Can I embarrass you a little bit?
Go ahead.
Cool. All right, cool. All right, Coach John Tierney, okay, coaches multiple sports. He coaches football and he coaches basketball. So that is something that you got to budget your time and your focus from your home life and to coaching your athletes in the fall and in the winter. So that's tough. And I know you do coach also the spring too, but I'm going to focus on these two sports. With football, you're currently now going to be the head football coach for the freshmen in your first year. You were 2 years for 2 years. You were the middle school head football coach. You came back to Pinelands and you were other spots. So you're coming up the ranks. You've always been a varsity football coach in the past. Before that, at Lacey, you were there for 7 years with Coach Versillo. You were the tight ends coach and O-line coach at different times during that time. You won 2 division championships with Coach V, and you were in the state playoffs 3 times. And coaching with Coach Versillo, who has 299 career wins, and I know we were talking about this earlier, had to be such a great experience for you. He's the second all-time leading wins guy in the Shore Conference.
It was, and one thing Coach V does is he demands so much out of his assistants, and you have to bring your game every single day.
Yeah.
In a meeting, you can't just come up with ideas; you have to back up your ideas, and you're not only coaching with the great Coach Versillo, but he has so many great assistants there. I coach with Corey Davies, I coach with Warren Smith, I coach with Shane Allen, Joe Tobin, Mike Stubiello. Just to name a few guys. Bob Nanny's there. I mean, come on, Bob Nanny won state championship after state championship with Toms River North. Mm-hmm. So you're learning so much while you're there, not just from Coach Versillo, but from everybody else who's there. Yeah. And you better bring your A game every single day, or you're going to look foolish. And you don't want to look foolish on a football field in front of your own coaches.
No. So and it's incredible because this is what I want to really magnify about you. You were in one of the winningest programs in the Shore Conference, Lacey Township, as an assistant coach, and a very successful one. And you brought all those things to everything else where you're at. Before that, You were at Pinelands for 8 years. You were the OC line coach. You had a very good run with Coach Sean DeRosa. I know one year you had McLean running back. He ran for over 2,000 yards. Really did a nice job with the play calling and the structure of the run game and all that stuff. You had a lot of fun during that time, huh?
Yes, I mean, especially that team. If you look back, I mean, Mac gets a lot of the acknowledgement from that team, and he should. He had 25, 44, 32 touchdowns. He was it was very easy calling plays with Mac because he had beat everybody's speed. Yeah. So it was like Matt, you're going to get the ball and beat everybody to the corner. But I mean, on that team, you also had Jake Hartman who had 11 touchdown catches.
He's good.
He averaged 32 yards a catch, and he sort of gets forgotten. Mike Keller was a very good quarterback. We had Bobby Schwartzberg, who was a very good fullback on that team. Our offensive line, dominated a lot of games. We were number one offense in the short conference that year. Unfortunately, that year we ran into a buzzsaw on Lacey, who was probably, arguably one of the best public schools of all time in the state of New Jersey. Up there with a couple of the Middletown South teams, now the full teams.
Oh yeah.
But that team was fun to be around. That team was a very good team. They made up for a lot of bad play calls. Just all you had to do was throw the ball on any hash, and Jake Hartman was going to get it.
Jake was good. We had a wild Thanksgiving Day game. McLean's senior year with back and forth, and person who had the ball last won that game. With that coach, and then you also coached at Mater Dei for 1 year, right out of college. With that, great. That's your football time, and you're going to talk more about this later. Basketball now, very uniquely. You were a longtime head coach for Pinelands, 10 seasons, and I do believe you were the all-time winningest coach ever at Pinelands too. Is that for basketball?
Yeah, I believe I still am. I know Freddie's on my heels right now. He's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job. Yeah,
he was my assistant for about 5 years. He's taken the program to new heights. But I believe I still am the all-time winningest coach there.
And I loved watching you because your guys were always in the games. You were very dynamic with the coaching. You always knew that a Coach Tierney basketball team at Pinelands was going to make you work for your money. Before that, you were at Mater Dei for 4 years. You won 3 division champs. You did real well. But the thing I want to talk about is you got to Rainey, and you were there for 7 seasons. And those of you who don't know anything about Rainey, I'm just going to run this down and correct me if I'm wrong if any of this stuff, because we did not talk yet about this. You won 5 division championships. You didn't win 6 because of the COVID. 2 times you won the whole short conference tournament. That's that whole big tournament that they do in the year. Is that correct?
Yes.
2 times you won state sectional championships. 1 time you won the overall state championship. You also won the tournament of championships. I mean, that is incredible. You were the number 1 team in the state of New Jersey and beat everybody. How exciting was that for that season? We'll talk more about the other stuff.
So to be honest, the season wasn't that exciting. It was more nerve-wracking. Especially until we won the state championship.
Yes.
The thing that was really exciting about that season was we went down during Christmas break. We went down and played in the John Wall Classic, and you sort of hear the game, and you go down there, and you're like, John Wall Classic, it's not that pop. It was the coolest experience ever. Every night you're playing in front of 4,200 people in the same gym Pete Maravich played in front of.
Wow.
So we go down there, and my family flew down with us. We missed, I don't want to say missed Christmas, but we left 10 a.m. Christmas morning. My family flew down Christmas night. We're playing the showcase game at 7:30. And we just think we can go over there and, get into the gym like any other game. And we actually had to wind up sneaking all the families into the gym through the back door because the game was sold out. And the line to get into the gym was 500 people deep.
That's awesome. So you had some great experience coaching with those guys.
And we're down 7 with 8 seconds left in the first game and come back to win. It was awesome.
Wow.
Then the next night we beat a team that's led by Pat Williams, who is now in the NBA. He was number 4th overall draft pick last year. Yeah. We beat them by like 13 or 14 points. And at this point, we only had 6 guys because Phil and Amadou weren't allowed to play yet. And then we won the finals. We beat a team called South Central from from North Carolina, who was led by Deshaun Sharp, who's now on the New Jersey Nets.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're playing them, in warm-ups, the gym is actually rocking. It's shaking up and down. And I look at Tosh. I was like, is the floor moving? He said, yeah. And during that game, Brian actually broke 2,000 points. They stopped the game. But during each of those games, at some point, the crowd flipped and started to becoming Ranny fans. Yeah. Because of how hard we played and how tough we were and just the skill on the floor. And to hear the crowd start to flip was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And we won that tournament. I think that was, besides the TOC, was probably the most impressive thing we did.
Coach, it's kind of hard to root against your guy, especially when you got that guy, Scotty Lewis, who seems to win everybody over with his enthusiasm, his hustle, and also his athletic ability, especially with the slam dunks. I have a question, though. Did you teach – I want to know with Coach Holden, did he say – when you break things up in basketball, I don't know if you do that like in football, but he said, okay, Coach, you go over there and teach them two-handed dunks.
I was in charge of the dunks. Like okay. I had a 6-foot rim, and I had to show them how to dunk. So I did that. Actually, it was kind of, so weird story real quick is we do break things up, especially in the preseason. And one of the things I was in charge of, because I was the football guy, was speed and conditioning. And my first practice ever, I'm going over the ladder with them, and here comes Sky Lewis. This is the type of player Scotty is. He was false stepping, and I said to him, you're false stepping. And he came up to me after practice and said, can we work on that? And we did. And in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, this was the national slam dunk champion as a freshman asking me to help him. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, Sky, no problem. But that's the type of kid he was. That's what he did. Yeah, so
that is awesome, man. And you're going to talk more about it in your process, but I just want to introduce you to everybody because the people saw you as the flag football head football coach, and a lot of people want to know more about the flag football head football coach, and we're going to get and talk a lot about it today. Okay, now, Coach, this is the best part of the coach's talk. It's called the process, and I particularly like to hear how you became the head football coach where you are right now. You are the girls' flag football head coach in its first season. I want you to tell us, how did you become that? Because you won somebody over in the interview. You just didn't, get handed the job. All the stuff that you've done leading as an athlete, which I call is your resume, was positive because you won over the interview to get that job. Remember, it's historical. A lot of people want it. A lot of people, the Board of Education had to trust somebody to take it and go with it. So you did a really nice job with that. And I'm sure everybody's patting themselves in the back saying we did the right choice and all that. So right now I want to hear the process on how you became the girls' head football coach right now.
Yeah, so I think when the league was introduced to everybody, I believe it was about March, Coach Sutterman had put it out and wanted to get some, inquiries about who would be interested in the job. And at the time, I had actually just opened my own offensive line school also. So I was doing that. I was also just finished up with the basketball season, but due to COVID, the basketball season and wrestling season were different. And Pinelands being a wrestling coach, I also coached wrestling this year for the first time ever. So we went through everything, and I sat down with Coach. I said, I really, really want this job. And he said, well, it may not pay much because it's not a stipend position, and it's, we're getting money for the Giants, but we have to travel a lot, and
right.
we cannot go over budget. And I said, I don't care. I want to be a head football coach. I said, that's what I want to do. I said, at some point in my career, I want to be a head football coach. And I said, I want to take this to the next level. I don't care what it is. I want to try this out. I want to give it a go. And at some point, I also wanted to coach girls. I had never coached girls before, and I wanted to give it a shot. And I said, you know what? Our girls' programs are really successful here. The volleyball team's done a phenomenal job. The basketball team is good. The girls' softball team is good. I said, the field hockey team's really good. I said, I want a shot with the girls. Coach him and said, well, you got to do this. I said, he goes, and again, he said, there may not be much money. I said, I don't care about the money. It's not about the money. I said, I want to give this a shot. And he said, okay, a couple more people interviewed. And, look, I'm thankful he went with me. I'm thankful the board approved me. I'm thankful the board approved this program because it's kind of, during a COVID year and approving a new program and taking more risk. it was a lot to ask of the board of education and the athletic program. But luckily they went through with it. After my first practice, I wasn't sure. So we have our first practice, and this is when you talk about groundwork up. Quick story is one of our kids, Molly Quigley Sanborn, is playing Sam linebacker, and I did the offense first, and we're going over defense. I said, okay. I said, Molly, you're going to play Sam. She said, no, but my name's Molly. I said, no, I know, but you're Sam. You're a strong side linebacker in the 4th grade. And she goes, no, but my name's Molly. I said, I know, but in the defense, you're Sam. And our strong safety's name is Sam. And she goes, no, Coach, I'm Sam. Okay, girls, come on, let's bring it in. So the first practice was only offense. It was hard for them to understand depth concepts.
Yeah.
Like what 6 yards, because we didn't have lines. Once we had lines, that got a little bit easier. But I was thankful that they went with me as the head coach.
Yeah.
One of the other people that put in for it were varsity head coaches in the spring, where I was a 7-8 coach, so I had a little more flexibility.
Yeah, well, and
that helped out.
Good. That's I like that. I just love hearing how coaches on our show got to be where they're at. Coach, a quick story: when I was the head coach for the middle school when I first started coming at Barnegat, and I came from Lacey too as a varsity coach, and I told the kid, "You're playing tackle," so I put him there as an offensive tackle. He gets in there, we run pitch. He turns around and he tackles our running back. And I kind of bark some things out to him. He said, Coach, you told me I'm a tackle. So I tackled him. So sometimes you kind of forget the things. You got to really teach baby steps and the vocabulary and all that stuff before you get into the competitive grind of football all that time.
Everything.
Yeah,
you got to teach everything. It's great, though. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, now, Coach, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Just talk a little bit about the newly formed 2021 Shore Conference Girls Flag Football League that was sponsored by the New York Giants and Nike and all the teams that are in it. Give us a little bit about every one of the teams in there and just anything you want to chime in with.
All right. Obviously Middletown South, led by Coach Antonucci. Very well coached team. A couple really quick girls on our team. They're running option this year, so we had to be very prepared for the option. But very good on defense also. Obviously, anytime you're playing against a Coach Antonucci team, they're going to be well coached. They don't make mistakes on themselves. But Coach Antonucci is the one who saw the vision for this league, got everybody together, and he's the one who he's the godfather of this league.
Right.
He's the one who got this league together, and just real thankful for what he did. And I think his vision for this league is exactly where he wanted it to be, and I think it's just going to grow under his tutelage. And it's just awesome to see a man of his coaching stature, who just loves watching the girls play football, loves teaching the game of football, whether it's boys, girls, and it was great to coach against him and get to know him more on a personal level.
Coach, my question to you was, who won the championship? And
so Shore Regional won the championship, led by Kaz. What it was we did 2 4-team pods, the top 4 teams and the bottom 4 teams. So Homedale was the 1 seed, Shore was the 2 seed, and us in Middletown North actually were tied, and we were the only, because it was a 6-game schedule, you didn't play one team, and the one team we didn't play was Middletown North, so we flipped a coin. I called tails, and it was heads, so Middletown North got the 3 seed.
That's what that ruined the whole game for you guys with that. So maybe you got to work on that in the off season, guessing right.
I did, and I went with the whole process of tails never fails, and this time it didn't come up right.
Coach, I always go heads I win, tails you lose. I have not lost a coin flip ever. So, Coach, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Please talk about those other teams.
I tried that, and unfortunately, it didn't work. Middletown North is, they're a lot like us. They like to, they throw the ball around. They're a little bit more of a true passing team. Coach Bush does a really good job. Has a nice quarterback. Runs a lot of under routes. Some good athletes out there. I went to scout this year. I didn't think anybody else was going to scout for girls flag football, and I'm sitting right next to Coach Bush scouting also. So that tells you how serious he was about the league.
That's awesome.
Middletown was a team. Somebody had dropped out at the last minute, so Middletown South actually had enough girls to form 2 teams.
Wow.
So this was almost like their younger team. Some really good young girls in there. They just didn't have a lot of girls, but they'll be fine. Manawan has some really good athletes, well coached. Unfortunately, because it was they share some girls with other sports, not all their girls are at all their games. Shore Regional, stud athletes. Kaz is a very, very good coach. He wanted to run power sweep all year long, but then they found out that they couldn't, pull the guard on power and block, so he had to, throw the ball a little bit, which Kaz
their girls sports are always fantastic. Always.
Fantastic athletes. I mean, their quarterback was great. Their receivers were awesome.
God.
We saw them at the clinic, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes. And they're just really, really good. And despite Kaz, they still won the championship. And I'm only kidding. Coach Kaz did a great job this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Modern day, couple really good athletes out there. Again, they were a little bit bitten up because they had a couple girls missing a couple games because they were also playing other sports. And Homedale, they had the 2 Cannon sisters and a couple other athletes. The Cannon girls were very, very
Coach,
good.
I want to interject with that. My sister, she calls me up and she goes, have you been following this league? I said, yeah, I have. Why? She goes, one of the sisters was my sister's babysitter. I said, really? That's awesome. And are they twins or just sisters?
No, sisters. One's a senior, one's a freshman, and they are stud athletes.
And it's the head coach, Gannon, right? Cannon.
Yep.
Cannon's was the head coach, and his girls got a chance to coach. Great. I heard they were great athletes.
They really are, and they just they were just studs on the field, both offensively and defensively.
Wow, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to the championship pod, and I want to say there was probably 1,300 or 1,400 people at the game at Homedale, which is pretty cool to see.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Coach, my question to you, and I know you're not speaking on behalf of this league. You were part of it. You, as the head coach at Pinelands, where do you want to see in the future? What do you want to see? How this league to grow?
I wanted to expand, but one thing we've talked about is I want to keep the Ocean County and Monmouth County rivalries going. Like, I liked going up to play at Middletown North, and I think our girls liked it. I don't want it just to become an Ocean County and then Monmouth County thing. And I think the other coaches agree. We've talked a little bit in the offseason so far what worked and hasn't worked. For example, the quarterback had 7 seconds to throw the ball this year. Next year, we're bringing that down to 5. We might go with one down this year with every 4 downs.
7 seconds? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to have a lot of like me out there blocking for 7 seconds. But the things that worked, we're going to stay with. The things that didn't work, we're going to go back to. And again, like this, you were growing constantly. I saw what Shore Regional was doing, and I was like, okay, well, I have to adapt to that. Like, Shore Regional was really good at, so the quarterback couldn't run unless you rushed her.
Right.
But if you handed the ball off, the girl could both throw the ball and run the ball.
Right.
So it's an RPO.
Yeah. So
in the first game, that's what Shore Regional was doing. I wasn't used to it. They scored 2 touchdowns on us before we got off the bus. But that's because we weren't sure what they were doing. And Cobb, good, great coach. Once we were understanding what they were doing, now we prepared for that.
Wow.
Maybe next year we'll do like 1 scrimmage week. But we're the fact that the coaches were willing to work with the officials and say, okay, this is what we saw. We have to make sure that the center's not going out for passes. Nobody's crossing the line. There's 2, and all the rules are the same. There has to be, one person on the left has to be on the line, one person on the right has to be on the line. You can't be covering somebody up.
They were sticklers for that?
Yeah.
Good.
And nobody was trying to cheat the game, or at least purposely cheat the game.
That's good. It's really good. So great. So that's where you want to see. You want to see, of course, you want to see it expanded, but you want to see it expand comfortably because you want to still keep those traditional rivalry, which you created this year, playing, right? And just add some people here and there and all that stuff.
But and I think again, I touched on it a little bit. I think the thing that got this league really rolling, because we had about 2 or 3 practices before it, but the New York Giants, Ethan Medley from the New York Giants ran a clinic for us. It was 2 clinics, one at 1 a.m., 1 p.m. And they flew in Dr. Jen Welters. I don't know if you've ever heard of her before, but she was the first female NFL football coach.
Yes.
So she ran a clinic for our girls, and she talked about the importance, and I think you touched on it earlier, that your girls came home with you and wanted to play catch. And how our girls were an example for every young female out there that was going to come see them play.
Right.
And that they were empowered, and that they had the responsibility to go out and play this game the best they can, because there were going to be girls in the stands watching them that wanted to be football players. And that clinic, going up there, I really wasn't sure, and I wasn't sure what the season was going to bring. After that clinic, and after watching and after hearing her talk and watching her go through the drills, I knew that this season was going to be a success. And our girls just took it to the next level after that.
Yeah, that's great, Coach. I loved hearing about your first year football teams that competed. Your Homedale Pinelands, Mater Dei, Shore, Matawan. Middletown had 2 teams, and Middletown North had the other team right there. And the finals were Shore versus Homedale, correct, right?
Yep.
Coach Kaz, who's a Hall of Fame coach, 191 career wins. I think he's 9th all-time in short conference in career wins. A legendary guy, one of the good guys in the short conference. Got a chance to coach football a little earlier than everybody else. I wonder if he was running his normal place that he runs with his short team in the fall. So I'm sure everybody next year will start filming his practices or his games to try and get an edge. Yeah,
we did.
That is awesome. And you did film. You guys did film your games too?
Oh yeah, we had on huddle. I mean, and that's something about our girls that, our girls, like, I'd go scout and our girls would come back and be like, Coach, why isn't it up on huddle yet? When can we start watching the games? Or, we'd get home from the game like, Coach, what time will the game be up on huddle? We want to watch it.
Awesome.
So we had a huddle account. We broke down film, showed them what was going on.
That's awesome.
And we filmed everything.
I love it.
Just as if it was boys varsity,
I love it. And like I said before, Coach, when my daughters were there, and they're not very competitive girls, they got to see it and they wanted to throw the football with Daddy. I was like such a big thing for me. I was like so excited that I was bonding with my girls because they just saw something and they came home and they wanted to reenact the same thing. So you did a great job. The girls did a great job. The atmosphere at Pinelands was intense. I loved it. Credits to your AD, Will Sutherland. Awesome, Coach. It was just a very, very positive experience for me. And you only get one first impression, and you won over me and many other people that were there. Now, Coach, this part here, I want to hear your coaching staff that helped you become a successful head football coach with the Pinelands Wildcat girls flag football team. So let me hear all those assistant coaches out there.
All right. So again, because this was like a sort of a club sport, I'll use that word, very loosely.
Yeah.
We had 2 volunteers this year. The first one is a guy who I've been coaching with forever. We just always seem to cross paths. Very good friend of mine, and Joe Tobin. Was the head baseball coach at Pinelands. We coached basketball together. We've coached football together at Pinelands and Lacey. I asked him to jump on and be my defense coordinator. He did it and did a great job with the girls. He just did a tremendous job of explaining everything to the girls and breaking things down. From cover 2 to cover 3. So, when we did blitz every once in a while, we send somebody, and just great on game days with the girls.
You were allowed to blitz?
We were allowed to blitz at 4 seconds, if they handed the ball off.
Okay.
So if a quarterback is just sitting back and getting ready to throw the ball, at 4 seconds you could go in, but then they can run. So depending on what type of athlete they had at quarterback is whether you wanted to rush in 4 seconds.
So if you didn't blitz anybody, they couldn't run unless somebody came in.
Now, this is what Shore would do, is Shore would actually take the ball, hand the ball off to the running back, but the running back spot was actually their quarterback. So now you can automatically go in, but that girl can also, that's where your RPO
So he was handing the ball off and she's running sweep and can throw it?
and throw it.
Cause I'm writing that down. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's like jet sweep RPOs.
Cause.
And that was very difficult. Where we, like, if you looked at our offense, we were more of a traditional. I took a lot of stuff from when I was coaching with Corey Davies.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of under routes. I think we even ran YDP one time. We ran a bunch of that stuff. No screens or anything like that, but I took a lot of stuff from Corey. And I took a lot of stuff from where I played football at Towson. Mm-hmm. We ran a lot of our stuff because we were 4 wide spread. Have people drop back deep and throw the ball to the running back underneath.
So Coach Tobin, who's been a varsity football coach for years, and did you have anybody else on that staff?
So we had Coach Tobin and then Coach Feldman, who was an athlete at Pinelands, who also plays in the women's flag football league, came on, and she helped me. She helped both on offense and defense side of the ball.
Really?
Yeah, she was awesome.
Wow.
And she would break. She was more like technical with the girls,
really?
More individual with the receivers because that's where she plays. But she was great. She works in our school district. She also coaches basketball and softball, and she was just awesome with the girls.
Oh, that's great. So you had 2 other assistant coaches working together. Girls are buying into it. And I saw that game, like I said, and I knew your terminology, your language with that. I was like, oh, I get it. I know what you were saying. And it wasn't dummied down. You really were coaching. Like if you were a football coach, you heard football language, communication, and all that stuff. That was awesome. So,
I think here was the coolest part of that, and the coaches talked about this. We had 26 girls on our team.
Wow.
Oh yeah, 26 girls. 24 of them are sophomores or younger. So I had 1 senior, one junior.
Wait, 1 senior?
1 senior, 1 junior. That was it.
You're loaded next year. You're going to be in my top 10 preseason for next season football season.
I want to make sure you know that we were the Ocean County champions.
You were. Yes, you were. Yes, you are. You're loaded next year. You're loaded. And I can't wait to hear about it.
So at one point during the year, whether it was a practice or a game, you turned and was like, okay, that girl got it. This girl gets it.
Right.
And it was a really cool thing to see. And maybe in all my time of coaching, my coolest accomplishment, my best accomplishment. We talked before about our basketball team winning the TOC. That was great. But watching where these girls were in day one, from not being able to run a hitch route to now, you get it. They got it. It was awesome. It was awesome to see.
Coach, and again, let me just say again, no matter what level you're coaching or what sport, coaching's coaching. It really is. If Bill Parcells came down, he would probably coach it the same way, and the kids will adapt to your language and your demeanor. They really will.
Yeah.
So,
and here's the different thing about coaching boys and girls. And again, this is my first time coaching girls. The bus rides are completely different. They're doing each other's hair on the buses. They're putting like they wanted to face paint makeup, but they were like doing like cool things with it. They're singing, blah blah blah. And like win or lose on the way home, 10 minutes into the ride, they're having fun on the way home. But it was really good for me because it was like, especially after COVID, like you learn to appreciate every single thing. And I got like 27 new daughters now. I got all these new kids. They're awesome kids to be around. Like the boys sometimes stray away from you in the hallway. They don't want to see you in the hallway. The girls come too. They want to talk to you. They want to stop by your room. Hey, coach, how you doing? How's everything? How's your day going? I was like, okay, cool.
They're very resilient, these kids. They really are. I remember when I was younger, I took the games very tough. The kids that bounced the things off of, and then kids would be like, after a loss, you're sitting there, you're bummed out. Coach, what do you want? I'll be like, turkey sandwich, right? Like it just like, I really did want that turkey sandwich. But yeah, I mean, kids are resilient. It is a game. You do want to compete, but you also got to keep everything else in perspective because a game of life is more important than just a game on the field, right?
Yes, it is. I mean, especially, a couple things, after this year and a couple things, last year, it's just being able to coach and being able to be around kids and being an influence on kids. And, especially now with kids, I think coaching life is almost more important than coaching the sport.
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, kids are kids, no matter what sport you're doing, guys or girls, that was a very, very impressive first-year season with your assistant coaches helping you out, Coach. Okay, now, Coach, let's talk 2021 Pinelands Wildcat girls flag football team that created all these great memories in its first season. Let's hear some great names.
All right, so I think the thing you have to understand first was a lot of these girls, almost 90% of them, were playing another sport at some point during the season.
Right.
So whether they were finishing off volleyball where they won a sectional championship this year. They were playing lacrosse. They were doing track. All these girls were doing something else, and then coming to practice. And at every practice, I would have 24, 25 girls. So they could have made the excuse like, oh, well, we had a game at so and so. These girls were getting off the practice field, getting off the bus, and sprinting to practice. All right. Wow. I think you have to start with historical point of view for us. Mm-hmm. Our first touchdown pass, believe it or not, was it was a tough loss, but we have a freshman, Emily Minnick, who has a gun. Believe it or not, she was talked about in the New York Post. The New York Post had a tweet about her, about having one of the best arms in all of shore football.
It's called a cannon. Yes.
Yes. But the New York Post actually tweeted about her having one of the best cannons in all of shore conference football.
Right.
And the first touchdown was from her to one of our I call her our OBJ. The girl makes phenomenal plays. Kayla Davis. She is our lone
Davis.
Junior. Kayla Davis. Yeah, she's no relation to you though. She's much more athletic.
Yeah.
But she's a stud. She's a stud on the basketball court. She's going to be she's a stud football player.
Great.
She's just one of those girls who can just make plays and you're like wow.
And what year is she?
She's a junior. She's our lone junior.
Wow.
But she's pretty good out there. Some other kids we have. I mentioned her before, but Molly Quigley Sanborn. One of these kids just offensively and defensively is just lights out for us. Samantha Polling, another girl who's on the volleyball team who comes out and she's probably one of our defensive leaders, along with Zinnia Moon, who's another great defensive player for us. She plays corner for us.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, my girl Z Moon, I call her. She's a phenomenal singer and guitar player and artist. She's great.
That's everything I'm not good at. That's incredible.
No, I know. I went to watch her play one time this year up in Red Bank, and I was surprised she didn't call me up to sing with her. But I was like, hey, it's okay. Maybe next time. But no, she's really good. Brianna Catafio, who also plays, is a very good field hockey player. She's a lights out defensive player.
Good.
She was also a sophomore. Alyssa Rowland, who plays corner for us. She just understands the corner position. She gets it. She gets cover 2. She gets cover 3.
Wow.
Eliana Vicari, a freshman who's coming on, who's starting to understand it. Palmucci, all right, my mooch. I coached her uncle in football, and she's one of these girls who just gets the football and just goes, and she scats. She has a couple touchdowns for us this year. Brianna Husta is her and Emily are just on the same page. She just catches touchdown passes left and right. She's another freshman we have. My Nana, and now Nana, who it's kind of funny because one of my basketball players at Randy's name is Nana, and her nickname is Nana, and I never heard that nickname before this year. And then I tell Isaac, who's Nana, and he's my second favorite Nana. I don't know if that makes any sense, but she's my tailback and defensive back. She's very good player. She gets it. Antonella, who's another quarterback for us. She's a lefty quarterback, and her arm is not quite as good as Emily's, but she's right there with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she can also play receiver. She can play defensive back. So another girl who completely is very good. Mackenzie Jennings, both offensively and defensively, completely, a very, very good player. Violet O'Connor, all right, this kid came out and wasn't really sure where she could play, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, she's grabbing flags left and right, and then she can't come off the field. She actually broke her finger and didn't tell us about it because she wanted to play against Homedale.
Really?
and she just like played 2 games and then had the season-ending surgery on her finger. But she's at every practice. She's like, Coach, I want to be. Is it okay if I come to every practice? Like, absolutely. She is like a girl that you can't go out with on the field. And again, like we weren't sure where she would fit in, and all of a sudden she's our outside linebacker, and nobody can run to her side. Trying to think of some other girls. Taylor Minnick, another one who played offense and defense for us. Excellent player. Her and Ava play, switching at tailback for us. Ava, who played tight end and outside linebacker for us. This girl reminds me of Mark Bavaro at tight end. Like, she just goes up and anything in her, she just catches touchdown passes and just runs over. Sabrina Moore, she came out a little bit late for the team, but a girl who just completely gets it. She loves being around the team. She's going to be an excellent receiver for us. Zoe Temple is our middle linebacker. She's just like lights out. She's the captain on the defense. Just talks and she's just completely understands the football game from the defensive point of view. She also plays quarterback for us. Got a couple nice touchdown passes this year. Amanda Wolfen, another girl who plays her H. She's in those crossing routes, and she's out there talking on defense. She's our strong safety and comes down playing our 4-4 and plays the Mike linebacker. Excellent player. All these girls just have great roles in the team, and it's great to see. I have 27 girls. Jillian Brown plays receiver for us. Her brothers played, Garrett and played for us. That they all have roles for us. All of them play. 26 girls. Every single one of them played every game.
That was your role, or it just happened to be?
It was my rule, but I didn't have to stretch my rule because they all can play.
Good.
So other teams didn't do that, but they were there at every practice. They deserved to play, and it wasn't like I was hiding anybody on the field.
Here's my quick question to you: What's the max amount of kids you can have on this team that you would feel comfortable with, without with problems of playing time? What would you feel comfortable with a number?
26. I think I would love to have, I would love to say 35 and then maybe play like 2 JV quarters beforehand or a JV half.
Right.
Just because I want to get everybody in. Elise, who was our senior this year, she played wherever. So she was playing outside linebacker. She was playing quarterback for a while. She was playing, tight end for a while. Isabella did the same thing. Like, Isabella would play tight end. She would play out, or X. These girls just want to get on the field. I think as this grows, some people will separate from each other, but I want every girl playing all the time. So I would love to get one JV half.
But I have one question, Coach, because I'm hearing about all these kids you got coming back next year. You're going to get more kids out. What would be your plan if you got 30 to 40? What would you want to do at Pinelands? Would you turn them away? Would you have tryouts? Would you split into 2? What would you do?
I would probably try and split into 2 if we could. Get a second team out there, or see if teams wanted to play an extra half. I would never want to turn a girl away. I don't believe in turning girls away. I don't want to cut people. You want to be part of us? Come be part of us. There's a lot more. For as much as the wins matter, I think right now it's more than that.
Right.
Watching these girls and watching how much they bought into the team concept and the family concept, which was awesome, and it's truth. We had a team party and every girl was there. How often does that happen? Or almost every girl was there. A couple of kids had work. But, I wouldn't want to turn anyone away.
Coach, I'm going to say this. I'm going to talk a little selfishly now from my end. With the Shore Football Report, we are now a .com. I don't know if you know this, but the and .com, you put it together, Shore Football Report. And, it was a pleasure having you on here, but I want to see now if you can translate that excitement you had in your games, in your practices, your whole season, and get as many views as you can on this thing that's going to be posted Sunday morning. And we're going to throw a number out, and I want to see if you can do it. For football, the most views right now, I think, is 535 with that. Knowing your background and how you get kids to do things and seeing the sidelines and all that of your girls, I think you can get in the 3 to 4 to 500 view thing in a couple weeks. I really think you can, because there's so much excitement in your community, and they're going to watch this. And I want to see from my end, how many people can you get? And by getting a lot of views on this, here's your product. Here you go. You show people our program is excited about this, and here's the proof. I'm really curious to see how many people will zoom in on your interview right here. I really am.
Yeah, so, I think I am too. I think one thing about the Pinelands community, they love their sports.
They do.
They do. They absolutely love their sports. I think there were years we were pretty good in football that you couldn't find a seat in the stands. And it was awesome, especially when we first got lights. I remember playing. You had Coach Fence on one of your first ones. I think that was a great interview.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. It's been taken very good there. But I will tell you this: your AD, Will Sunderland, is fantastic. He is. He's a homegrown guy who's been there at Pinelands. He loves the community. I mean, loves the community there. I mean, he's been AD of the year. He's been this, that. He's the president of the Shore Conference ADs. I mean, he's very good with that community. And when I see the atmosphere, like, with John Dramato Born Again, they do it. We just coach. They create the hoopla and all that stuff. So I know he has to be excited about what we just talked about with your new football program.
It was funny. During this year during our 7-8 game, I coached against one of my former teammates at Lower Cape May. Mm-hmm. And Towson didn't play this year because of COVID, so I was kidding around and I was sending Facebook stuff out, and all my Towson guys were having breakfast, and he'd be like, "If all your Towson guys come out, you're fired. You're fired." Yeah. And I don't have staff for all your Towson. I was like, "No, don't worry. We're only having 150 people, 200 people." And I joke around, about that. And then I said I was giving away free T-shirts at the girls' game. He's always worried about staffing issues, blah blah. But
he's an AD.
He's an AD. But the difference, and I think the thing that Will has over me is Will knows what it's like to wear the green and gold. So no matter how long I'm at Pinelands, no matter how much I'm at Pinelands, Will knows what it truly means to bleed green and gold. I'm adopted, but I can never bleed that green and gold as much as I try to. And I think that's why Will has a hand up. Man, Will loves Pinelands, and it really shows. And everything he gets behind, man, it just goes at Pinelands.
And my short talks with him, when he talks about the Pinelands community or Pineland coaches like yourself, he gets this excitement, and he can't wait for the community to see something or here or there and there. So he's all in. He really is all in. Great leader, great guy. Does everything behind the scenes for everybody and promotes all the athletics, which is obvious. Which what he allowed here, because you were the only, and it's amazing. I'd love to ask him, why was Pinelands the only Ocean County school to have it, and that says a lot about him.
Well, I think, believe it or not, I want to say that there was a bunch of Ocean County teams that actually signed up, but then other things happened and they backed away. Because originally I think there were 16 teams signed up for this, and the New York Giants gave $75,000. And Nike gave the uniforms. And then what happened was, however many teams, that's how money was going to split up. But, and obviously with travel and stuff like that, a lot of, money goes pretty fast with buses. And, but I think, again, COVID year, I think, limited this league to 8. But once teams saw this take off, and, I had one school call and said, "You guys are getting all press, and Pineland's getting all this press." And I was like, well, a lot of the press is coming from me. I'm pretty decent on social media.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, you're going to get a lot of press tomorrow morning when this thing's posted. You really will. I mean, it's going to be a big, exciting time seeing Coach John Tierney, the first-year head football coach of the 2021 Pinelands Wildcat girls flag football team. That is great. And you have a lot to look forward to. And next year, and I'm going to say it right now on here, you are my prediction. My predictions that you guys are going to win it all next year. With everybody back. Start recruiting.
that's a big prediction, and it'll just be getting number one. We'll start with number one. We'll start with win one.
You will start number one, and you will finish the year.
We'll start with win one. We'll start not number one. We'll start with getting win one.
Well, now this is a legit coach's talk. You're sandbagging. You have everybody back. You were very successful this year. I'm putting the pressure on you. You're going to win it all. You are, Coach. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm kind of joking around, but I'm really serious. You are going to be very good next year. I just love the way the girls were maneuvering going on. I love that you guys, the way you were talking with. It was just great. It was a really good impression that you did with me, and I know parents loved it too. They're all filming, screaming, yelling, positive stuff. It was great. But thank you for coming on the show today. And if there's anything I could do for you or your program in the future, just let me know.
Thank you for having me on. I think it was great. I think the girls can be really excited to see this, and this is the first step. And I think it's going to be a huge building. Watching this grow is going to be awesome. And I want to thank Coach Antonucci. I want to thank the Giants. I want to thank Nike and the other coaches in the league for taking this so seriously, and for doing everything right. And it was just awesome to see grow from day one and grow from the ground up. And it's great to be part of it. A very small part of it, but great to be part of it.
Yep, great. And you can't blame me. I'm a ratings guy. And who do I go to? The guy that brings the ratings. Coach John Tierney, wherever he is, he gets me the ratings. And I'm going to also rely on those Wildcat Girls Flag Football program to get these ratings up. Get me a blue check, a blue stripe, whatever that is for Twitter. That's my ultimate goal. No more coaching for me. Just all about social media now.
I hear you.
It's awesome, Coach. Thank you. This will be up on the morning, and then let's let it fly and let's have some fun with it. But those girls really deserve to have their names mentioned here, like you did, and you got the chance to see on if you're watching this now, the video that I posted. It's great of the girls, it really is. All right, Coach. Thank you very much. And I will see you soon.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.